The cost of living is out of control and keeps on rising. We're living in the most expensive time in history. Check out these eye-opening clips where we dive deep into the rising cost of living. From skyrocketing rent and grocery bills to the hidden expenses draining your wallet. Real stories, shocking stats, and viral clips reveal how inflation, housing shortages, and wage stagnation are reshaping everyday life. Whether you're struggling to make ends meet or just curious how others are coping, this video lays it all out there. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
As soon as I grew up, apartments $2,000, but when I was 13, they were only $500. My mom was living out in Lehigh for $550 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now all of a sudden, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is $2,500, and how y'all expect me to pay for that? The debt to income ratio is still the same, so why is the rent so fucking high? And y'all don't even own these buildings either, so what you charging me all this money for? I know your mortgage is not that high on it. That's just like back in the day, if you had bad credit, or let's say you just had broke a lease on an apartment, you can go get an apartment. You know, you go talk to Mr. John, and Mr. John gonna help you, him and Miss Mary. Nowadays, they said, man, f*** you, go to court. They said you better go to the courthouse and try to get that eviction expunged off your record. Are you serious right now? Like, and then they wonder why everybody's staying at home with their mama. You judging the bitch because they at home with their mama. What am I supposed to do? I'm sorry that I'm 21 with no credit and they don't want to let me get no place. Like, it's not my fault. The criteria is a lot harder now than it was back in the day. Back in the day, if you had $1,500, you was in a house. Point blank, period.
I make almost twice the federal minimum wage, and I am still thousands of dollars below the poverty line. I am homeless. I live in my car. I cannot afford to rent an apartment. I can hardly afford to live in my car. Food is expensive. And it's tough times, you know? I work 40 hours a week. I am not in an entry-level position. I am in a skilled position. I make twice the federal minimum wage. And I am poor.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck, and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a 1-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. This is unsustainable.
I am moving back into my parents' house at 23 years old, and let's talk about it. I got this apartment about a year ago, and I had just graduated college. I graduated with a Bachelor in Arts of Psychology with a minor in creative writing and English. Now, I'm sorry, but a 4-year psychology degree is absolutely useless unless you go forward with it. I didn't have money nor time to go forward with it, so I wanted to get straight into the job field, and I could always go back to school. So I went and I got a sales job, a corporate sales job. And it was obviously a 9-to-5 every single day, Monday through Friday. And if anyone who works in sales knows that your first year absolutely sucks. I could not afford my own rent and my student loan payment just on the salary alone. It was around $47K, just to be fully transparent. It wasn't around, it was $47K, sorry. And before anyone goes, oh, dude, you weren't working. I worked 7 days a week. I got a part-time job serving on the weekends. So I would do Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, working in Jamaica, Queens, man, and going door to door. Not a good area, especially when you don't know how to parallel park, because I'm from Long Island. Anyways, going there Monday through Friday, I would drive back in around 2 hours worth of traffic, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I would go and serve at a restaurant all day a double. And that still was barely getting me by. So I hated the job so much, and I was like, okay, this is like, I could make this somewhere else. I might as well find another job. I've wanted to be a teacher for a while now. I haven't been able to afford to go back to school. So I'm now a preschool teacher, right? Which I work Monday through Friday, actually 8 to like 6 o'clock sometimes. It really depends on the day. Usually it's 5:30, but 6 o'clock is how it goes. I also keep that serving job on the weekends because I cannot afford to live. I cannot afford to live. I do not hang out with friends. I don't go out very often. I'm also not a drinker, so I don't go out and anything like that, right? I still cannot afford to live. I'm draining my savings, which I don't want to be doing in my 20s. I'm 23 years old. I want to be building my savings at anything. So I decided to move back with my parents for a year. I was very against it because me and my parents, we get along, but from a distance. But it was my last option, and the cost of living is absolutely insane despite working 7 days a week. If I even tried to get another job, it would have to be an overnight shift somewhere. That's not manageable when I have to get up as early as I do. It makes me mad when people say, oh, like, Gen Z is so lazy. I promise you I'm the least thing from lazy. I have a crippling fear of not doing enough. I actually hate not having something to do. I can't just relax and watch TV. I don't even watch TV unless my boyfriend's here. I am always cleaning. I am always doing something, or I am working. I never just sit down and relax. I think it's an anxiety thing. But at 23 years old, having a full-time job with benefits and all, I should be able to afford my living situation. Yet I can't, and I'm not the only one who has this shit. Any entry-level job is not enough money to live on. And it sucks. It sucks. I'm going back to school to get my master's, and that is why I'm moving back with my parents, because I will not be able to work 7 days a week while taking a full thing of classes. Yay, so fun.
Hey, I don't give a damn what nobody say. It has never been this expensive to live. Ever. Like, in no era when mother making $1 an hour, it was never this expensive to live. Eggs, $10 a piece. Like, you walk in the store, you get 3 things, you at fucking $65. Obviously, I just went, grocery shopping, so I'm venting a little bit, but like, this shit don't make no sense. It really makes absolutely no sense how expensive shit is. Like, so if you ain't got a partner that's really ready and willing to help you out and like really like build this shit together, man, like, ain't gonna lie, this is not the time to be taking care of nobody else.
This is how much money you need to make in order to comfortably live in New York City with the guy who works in finance. There are a ton of neighborhoods in Manhattan with a wild variety of rent prices, but the average rent per month in Manhattan as a whole is $4,742. Following the 50-30-20 rule with 25% of your income going towards housing expenses, you'd only need to make about $19,000 per month in order to comfortably live in Manhattan, which means you'd need to make just under $230,000 per year. Keep in mind, comfortable is subjective, and this is the cost of paying the entire rent on your own, which a majority of people living in Manhattan don't do.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living. Here is a breakdown of the average Gen Z and millennials' cost of living in today's world. So number one is rent. Everyone knows that Gen Z and millennials have to have a roommate. So splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with utilities is around $1,500. If you have a car, a $12,000 to $15,000 used car is still going to run you $400 a month. Car insurance and gas is another $300. Student loan payment, $500. You're going to have groceries for $500. You're going to have personal care, doctor's appointments, hair, gym, about $150, and then cell phone and miscellaneous $150. That's $3,500 a month, which is baseline. Do you know how much $3,500 a month is? $70,000 a year, or $34 an hour. Because after you take out taxes, put $300 for health insurance, and do a healthy $500 401k contribution, that leaves you with $3,500. This is no fun, no savings, no maintenance, no clothes, no kids, no traveling, no vacations, no bachelor parties, no weddings, no funerals, no clothes, no school supplies, nothing.
Why is no one talking about how serious the cost of living actually is? So we pay like a really cheap amount of rent compared to like all the other rent I see. And we're a family of 6. We pay $9.50 rent. That's cheap. We're in Missouri. It's like not some nice new place or anything. It was actually built in 1890. My husband is working 3 jobs right now. We buy absolutely nothing that we don't need. And we actually go without a lot of things that we actually do need. I feel like if you're able to do anything that's not just surviving, then you got it good. I feel so sad that I didn't appreciate the times where we were able to actually have fun at this point. So much has changed in the past few years. Like, what? I just really, really want to know. How is everyone surviving? Is everyone working like 24/7? Because that's what my husband does. And I'm just home with my little kids all the time. It's kind of like depressing that we're never together as a family. So I don't know. I hope one day we can be, but it sucks.
I am seriously starting to feel like it's just about impossible to live in the United States. And, I don't want to seem like a lazy bum when I seen this, but I truly feel like it's just about impossible. If you weren't raised and given a good first hand in life, or a support team who will make sure no matter what that you don't fail, or, having people that you're able to fall back on, you're blessed. And if you are one of those people, I highly suggest you thank those people near you, because a lot of us aren't blessed like that. I'm a 23-year-old dad. I've got 2 kids. I've got about to be a 5-year-old in May, and I've got a newborn too. She's just a few weeks old, like 3 weeks. So my wife gets to stay at home and take care of the babies, and I'm out here trying to get it. I'm on my 3rd shift job now. I'm a security officer for Allied Universal. No, I don't represent the company in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is just a job. I am not a part of this company. But and I work here from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. every single day, 8-hour shift. I get off of this 3rd shift job and I go directly into another job, which I just go around my city, finding side jobs. It might be a clean out one day and I go out there for another 5, 6, 7 hours. It might be landscaping another day. It might be painting one day. It could be, it varies. I do what I can where I can. But therein, I go home and I have to stay up even longer to make sure that my lady is able to get her rest too, because, being a mom's a hard job. Yes, I'm working hard, but being a mom is a hard mental job as well in its own. So I have to stay up for a little bit in order to give her time to actually rest and get her sleep too, because she needs it.
I am so tired of living my life in survival mode, because despite having 2 college degrees and making close to $80,000 a year, I still cannot keep up with the cost of living. I still cannot afford all of my bills every month and have to live paycheck to paycheck. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I am sacrificing my mental health, my time, and my energy to take care of people in their most vulnerable moments, and a lot of the time they do not make it. At the very least, I should be able to pay my bills. And for anyone who's thinking, oh, well, you shouldn't have chose that job, somebody has to do it. And you know damn well, if your loved one was critically ill, you would want somebody to take care of them, right? Something has to give. I cannot keep doing this.
Hi guys, I'm really stressed today. I just went to the grocery store, bought 10 items, and it was $80 already. I literally have $10 left on my account. So a little backstory. I got laid off from my job a month ago. And I've been applying for jobs months before I got laid off. Sent out hundreds of resumes already. Applied to hundreds of jobs on the internet, remote and on-site. Tailored my resume to every position that I applied using ChatGPT. Went to only a few interviews. And still nothing. Like, what the f*** is going on with America right now? Like, it's so freaking hard to live here. Like, I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna keep applying for jobs. I'm gonna keep showing up. But man, my bills are not going to wait.
It's a shame that I have to consider getting a second job just to make ends meet. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Your main job is supposed to suffice for taking care of yourself. And even in my main job, I'm making over $20 an hour, but I'm still barely making ends meet. So I had to consider getting a second job just to make ends meet, and that's not how life is supposed to be.
How much money do you need to make to be able to live here?
So I think the average salary in San Francisco is $150K per year.
Per person or per household?
Per person, I believe. It's between $120 and $150, and that should be enough for you to live here comfortably, in my opinion. Some people get away with a lot less. I know someone who lives here for $75K a year, and then there are obviously people that make way more, but they live paycheck to paycheck because they like to blow all their money. So it really depends on how much you live within your means, but the average rent price in San Francisco, I believe, is $3,500 a month. So if you triple that, hopefully you're making triple that to live here comfortably. Right. That's a good personal finance rule, 30%. So your rent should be 30% of your gross income. So if you're taking home, let's say $11,000 gross a month, which is, what is that, like $132K a year? Yeah. Should be pretty good.
I live on my own as an 18-year-old. Let's talk about my living expenses and how I can afford it. Let's get real and personal. If you are looking to see what to plan for, or if you have plans to move out soon, I will be telling you exactly what I spend each month. No beating around the bush over here. The most important thing that I want to preface is that it truly does not matter how much money you make. It is just so important that you budget your money. The only reason I can happily afford $1,500 in rent is because I budget my money and I pay close attention to where my money goes. I say happily as if it's not hard for me to hit the pay button each month. There are days that I have to turn down expensive plans because rent is almost due. Sorry, can't go out to eat tonight. First off, this is just a personal preference, but I do give 10% of my income into tithes and offering. That is just something I like to do. Rent and utilities, I pay $1,500 in rent, plus water, which is around $20, and electricity, which is around $80. Trash and Wi-Fi is about $60 combined, plus my apartment charges pest control and community service fees, which is about $30 altogether. I also am required to have renter's insurance, which is about $15 a month. Now let's talk about transportation. I spend about $15 a month on car washes. That's just something that is important to me. I like to have my car clean. It just helps me feel better. I am very blessed to have a car that is completely paid off. So I only have to pay insurance, which is about $85 a month. Gas for me is about $70 to $80 a month, which I know is probably very surprising. Now, this could change on different months, that I need work done to my car, or if I need an oil change that month, or something like that. Let's talk about food. I spend about $400 to $500 a month on groceries just for myself, which is about $100 or so a week. I personally love cooking and have this in my budget, but on weeks where money is short, ramen it is. I also give myself a $100 fast food allowance. This includes my coffees and Chick-fil-A runs and random snacks that just look too good. As far as personal things go, I spend about $30 for subscriptions. This includes things like Amazon, Spotify Premium, things like that. Definitely not necessities. I also spend about $100 to $150 on doctor's appointments, and that does include therapy. My phone bill is around $30 a month. Depending on the month, like if it is around Christmas or a loved one's birthday, then I add gifts into the budget and will sometimes give myself shopping or nail money, but to be honest, that has not happened in a while. It is so important to know how much living alone can cost, and it really does add up. But we got this.
So this person makes an excellent point about people who are local to their communities getting priced out because of the cost of living. And that's part of the reason why I started this whole series, is to kind of bring awareness to this fact, and that somebody on a median salary is unable to afford even where they're from. One thing I found that's particularly interesting about Hawaii is it's in a uniquely vulnerable situation compared to other places within the lower 48. Not just housing, because housing is way ahead of incomes in Hawaii. Not just childcare, only because supply of childcare is much lower per family in Hawaii than it is elsewhere. But food, I think, is another big factor, because Hawaii has to import most of its food. So you're paying that extra shipping cost when you pick up, that box of cereal or that piece of fruit or that pound of ground beef at the grocery store. So this is something that I think is especially harmful to the people who live on Hawaii or are native to the island, born and raised there. So what are people supposed to do? How are they supposed to get by when they live on Hawaii? One thing I think that you'll see that's a lot more common in Hawaii than other parts within the U.S. is multi-generational living. I think it's a lot more common for 3 generations to live under the same roof in Hawaii than it is elsewhere, because those resources simply need to be pooled. And I think that that's probably the best way for people to get by if they want to stay there. But, sometimes they're still forced to leave and they still get priced off the island. Getting priced out of your community isn't something that's unique just to Hawaii. It's pretty common in other places within the U.S. I found that Montana is one place that's especially vulnerable to that, just to name one example. But it's definitely, Hawaii has unique problems that other places in the U.S. don't have, for sure.
This is how screwed up the middle class is in less than 60 seconds. I got a friend, him and his wife make about $120,000 a year each. They're very educated, very smart, very hardworking, not the average American, but we're going to go off of them. So they make $120 a year each. That's $240. They have a credit score of almost 750 combined. They can get a house for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for around $5,000 a month. How is a basic middle class person supposed to live and afford a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Washington State when it's $700,000 and it's $5,000 a month, and a basic family makes probably roughly $80,000 combined, if not $120 combined, and that's at $60,000 a year. So if you make $60,000 a year, you and your wife combined, you still cannot afford to live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house if you're middle class American.
Do y'all know that the average American doesn't have any money left over, if but maybe $200 or $300 left after they get paid every 2 weeks or every month? Did y'all know that? I'm sorry, but that I literally feel like it drive me to voluntary homelessness. I would volunteer to be homeless. There's no way they'd have me out here working for anybody and I can't live life after I pay bills. Y'all can have these bills back. Take the car, take the crib. You can have it. Listen, I'm going to be homeless on the streets before I dare.
My name is Anthony Bartolini. I'm a police officer in Waterbury, Connecticut. I'm 29 years old. I've been a police officer about a year. Let's go. But every day is a struggle for me too. If I still have to worry about my next paycheck, where my next meal is coming from, I'm just like anybody else out there. Good morning, it's Officer Bartolini. I'm patrolling the streets because you want to make sure that if you see something, you can do something about it.
Dispatch 1.
So I've been looking at houses pretty much every day. I wanted to buy one for a few years. To put 20% down on a house, that's a lot of money. Even I can't do it, working double shifts. In today's economy, even if I got a second job, wouldn't be able to afford it.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living?
We're not. Truth of the matter, most of us are living paycheck to paycheck with credit card debt. I know people who are legitimately putting gas and groceries on credit cards just so that they can get back and forth to work. I believe that this is what most people are now calling the silent depression. $100 has become the new $20, and it's ridiculous. But the best thing about it is that people have shifted their core values. People are realizing that if it doesn't bring value into my life, then I don't need it. And while I don't get political on this app, you're having people on both sides of the aisles going, yeah, this kind of sucks. Right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. It's the same bird. And now so many Americans are going, I truly just, I don't care. I think it's woken a lot of people up to the idea of why are we funding things that we don't care about when all of us right here are struggling. It's changed the people's attitude in the workforce to where a job is just a job. You used to be very loyal to a job, but they've seen that there's no employee loyalty because there's no employer loyalty. People just don't trust the system anymore, and they're starting to focus on what matters the most. Most people are out here making more money than they ever have and realizing that it's not going anywhere.
Every time I think about or trying to move out my parents' house, the cost of living just get higher and higher. Like, insurance goes up, gas goes up, not to mention the fact that you got to make 3 times the rent of wherever you live at, which is kind of insane because the average person my age ain't even making what I'm making. Not to mention the fact that I check my pay stubs all the time. I'm not making as nearly as what I would make if they ain't take all them fucking taxes out of my checks every 2 weeks. Like, and I just been sitting here thinking, like, cause with me personally, when I moved out, I always wanted to move out by myself or with a significant other. And now I'm starting to realize when people move out, they get roommates or they move in college apartments with other people that they don't even know of because the cost of living is too high. How can I get a house these days? How can I get a house, bro? The average house is like 300 bands, you know what I'm saying? And like the average like monthly cost of it is like $2,500 a month.
Like, it's really getting ridiculous. It's just no reason why stuff should be costing this much. Man, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm so tired of going to these stores, getting 5 items, and when you get the total, it's $100. Baby, what did I get? Baby, what did I get? Why did I only get 5 items and it's $100? Like, the grocery stores and food and water just has went up too tremendously for me. Every time they give me a total, I'm like, babe, what did I get? Because I'm confused as to what made it $100. All I got was a pack of chicken, some asparagus, some sweet potatoes, some rice cakes, and some water. That was $106. Why? Why? I just don't understand why everything. Baby, you used to could get 100 items for $100 back in the day. I remember that. Now, that's why everybody's struggling now. Then you be like, okay, let me go out to eat. Go out to eat, spend $200 for 2 meals. So, baby, you just can't win for losing. Like, it's getting ridiculous out here. That's why people is struggling. Rent high, gas high. Baby, I got a BMW, a little two-door. Take $65 to fill it up. Why $65 for this little car? I'm just confused. Why is rent $2,200 for a 2-bedroom? And then y'all building these apartments with these cheap material, but the rent $2,000.
I need somebody to tell me how I'm supposed to make it in today's economy. Bro, shit's so high. You can't, it's hard to go grocery shopping. I mean, you go in the store with say $300. You ain't coming out with much. And I remember back in the day, $300, shit, if you was shopping with that, you had a buggy full of meat, shrimp, steaks, enough, to last a while. Now, $300 might get you 6 little bags. That's pitiful, man.
I told myself I would never cry on the internet because I think that's so lame. But
I just got our rent renewal thing for our apartment complex, and it's going up by $300 a month. $300 for a one-bedroom apartment that is not updated in any sort of way. And our complex doesn't even have like nice amenities. Like, we have a tiny pool and a tennis court. Like, this is not a luxury apartment complex. We already pay, with all the fees and everything included, $2,000 a month, and now we're going to be paying $2,300 a month for this tiny apartment. And that's just so frustrating. I don't understand how people can live in this world anymore, and I just don't want to move again, because that's so much work and more money, and it's stressful trying to find another place, and it's just so annoying. And now I feel like I need to get a new job, and I just got this job and I like it, but it's not paying me nearly what I need. And so now I'm gonna have to go through applying to jobs again, which I did for like a whole year plus until I found this job. So I'm gonna have to go through all of that again. It's just not fair.